Hello my sweet friends, welcome back. My name is Adele if you are new, and today I'm doing a writing Q&A part 2. There are so many flies in my apartment and they're just flying around my room. I had to let like 4 of them out like just before this video, but there are like 2 more and I don't know where they're coming from. So this is going to be part 2 of a writing Q&A. If you haven't seen the first one, I will link it below and up above if you want to go check it out. Basically, I asked y'all to ask me any questions pertaining to writing, books, reading, authortube, stuff like that, and I got so many questions and it was so cool, but I really did want to try to get to all of them if I could, so I am doing a part 2. These questions are going to be mainly from YouTube, since in the first one they were mainly from Instagram. There are still a lot of them. I really want to be able to get to each and every one, so we're going to try to do this as fast as we can. Question number 1. What do you do when you have writer's block or feel uninspired to write? I deal with this so often. Well, not as much anymore, but I used to deal with that quite often. Whenever I have writer's block, I feel like for me it's just best to kind of consume every sort of media or anything with ideas, basically. Watch new movies or shows, read new books, listen to new music, or I usually have like a running list of ideas from the past that I've written down and never did anything with, so I'll probably go through and look through that and see if that helps. Something I used to do, but I haven't done it in a few years, but something I used to do that helped was kind of like these description exercises, because I really like writing description and I think it's really fun. And so I would just like find either like a picture online or just have an image in my head and then just write down like a piece of paper like everything to describe it, and like what I saw, just describe it in every way I could, go through all the senses, stuff like that. And also just taking a look at your daily life and the things going on, take a walk outside, just try to get inspiration from anything going on in your life. Number 2, how do you know which story points are the right ones to go with? I'm sure you have different options or directions you could have your characters and plot points go in, but how do you get to a point where you know that one specific story point over the other ones is the best one? This is a really good question. I think this is really interesting and something I don't normally think about. I think it just depends on the story and the characters and what would be best for the story and the characters, and I know that's super vague and cliche and probably not what you want to hear, but for me at least, I have no set process. It's just what feels good. I just go with my gut, whatever feels right. I have had, especially in Project Orion, my current book, I have had so many directions I could have gone for certain things and so many different things and options and plot points that I could have done instead. Just whatever furthers the story and has the best character development. Oh, I have one. Okay, so I have another book that I'm kind of working on the side. I haven't really worked on it in a few months, but I think it's what I'm going to do for NaNoWriMo. Not sure yet. I will talk about it later. But basically, it is a contemporary YA, and basically the main character and her best friend, at the very beginning, they need to somehow start volunteering at this community garden. And so in order for them to get to that point, I need something to happen to where they have to do that, because their personality and their characters, they wouldn't do that voluntarily. So I had 2 options to where I was like, okay, I could either have them get in trouble at the beginning, like in school, and it would have them like have to do community service hours. And I liked that a lot because I was like, okay, the getting in trouble part, it would show their personality. It's really good like character development. It like introduces you to them right away, and you know what kind of person they are and what they like to do and stuff, and it would get them to that next plot point. Or I could do it to where, since they're seniors in high school, like every senior needs X amount of hours to graduate, which isn't as fun, but it's still something that would get them to that next plot point, which is getting them to volunteer at the community garden. And ultimately, I decided to go with them getting in trouble because I think that showcases their personality more. I think it really gives a good introduction to the characters, and so that's what I went with, and I hope that helps. I know that's not as helpful maybe, but I just go with my gut, whatever is best for the story. Do you plan on using a pen name for publishing? I have heard different things about genres and publishing. For some reason, I've heard that if you want to publish in multiple genres, you have to have like a pen name for each genre. I have no idea if that's true, but I have seen that. And so in that case, if I needed to, I would. But I'm not really planning on publishing anything that would like need me to have a pen name in that sense, where I don't want them to know who I am or like associated with job stuff and everything like that. The second thing that I've thought about is related to marriage. Because, okay, so Gavin and I have been dating for a long time. We've talked about this, but basically I don't know, we're not engaged, we're not getting married anytime soon, but I've thought about, like, am I going to publish under my maiden name or my married name? And I don't know what to do. Writing aside, personally, I don't know about maiden marriage names or what I'm going to use. So I guess in a way that might be a pen name sort of thing. I only bring it up because the question kind of is surrounded by it. The only way I would use a made up pen name, and I actually have some ideas, I already have some, but I don't even know if I'm going to use it, would be if I have to publish, or if I have to for multiple genres. I don't know if that's true. Can someone tell me if that's true? Because I've heard that and I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. I'm not quite sure. Actual made up pen name though, probably not. That answer was way too long, I'm so sorry. Harry Potter books versus movies, and then what about Lord of the Rings? I did answer the Harry Potter one in the previous video, so I do want to answer Lord of the Rings. Never seen Lord of the Rings and never read them. I'm not usually a huge fan of like high fantasy though, so I don't know. I have no urge to read them or watch them. Maybe someday, you know, if I'm bored. That sounds awful. I'm sure they're great books. I just have no urge to really read them or watch them. How do you plan on marketing your novel when it's finished? Do you have any tips? I have no tips. I'll say that straight up. I know nothing about marketing. I really don't. My plan for marketing, just kind of using this platform and my Instagram and stuff like that. I know that marketing is a big deal in self-publishing, and I don't really plan on self-publishing, at least not all of my books. So I really don't have much of a plan for it. I have thought about, like, because I do want to be traditionally published, and so when that time comes and it's getting ready to be released and stuff like that, I would like to, like, release some, like, every now and then release some stuff about the characters, like, random tidbits, or, you know what I mean, or, like, fan art. I love fan art, and I've already had one person draw fan art of Orion, which I thought was so cool. If y'all want to draw fan art, please go for it. But also kind of leading up to the release, like, share, like, fan art from y'all and stuff like that. But that's all I have. I have nothing. I have no idea about marketing. That sentence was so hard to get out for some reason. Do you get a lot of random ideas all the time, or do the ideas rather come to you while writing? And do you have notebooks or anything where you write them down, or do you like to just keep them in your head? I get ideas all the time. I have so many. I keep a running list on my notes app on my phone of random ideas that I get when when I don't have paper, and then I also have a running list on paper of ideas. So yes, I get them all the time, and I do keep them on paper and in my phone. I don't try to leave them in my head because I will not remember them. What is your motivation for writing? I love it. It is one of my greatest passions and joy in my life. I absolutely adore it, and I really can't imagine living without it. Which part of writing is most difficult for you? Sometimes, honestly, just sitting down and doing it. That motivation can be really hard to find, and so that's really hard. But also, like, dialogue, if we're talking about, like, actual... There's flies everywhere. Why are there so many flies? Dialogue can be really hard for me sometimes, and I'm not sure why, but, like, not even just, like, the talking, but trying to get, like, distinct voices for each character is, like, really making sure that each character has a unique voice and really getting that across on paper, and also just having them, like, do things while you're talking. Like, if I have, like, a lot of information that I need to portray through a conversation, and, like, having them do things, like, she said while drinking a glass of water, and then you have to remember, like, she just drank a glass of water, you gotta come up with something else now. How do you get in the writing mood? Any tips on romance/young adult writing? There are 3 flies flying on my window right now, and I literally just let out 4 of them. There are 3 now. 3 new ones. My roommates have been having this problem too. I don't know why there are flies everywhere. If you can hear flies, I'm so sorry. I swear I'm not like a stinky person. There's just flies everywhere. So getting in the writing mood can be hard. I struggle with that sometimes. I usually have to, lately I've been finding that going to the library has been helping a lot, or like getting out of my room, because I feel like I've done a lot of writing in my room, but also I do everything else in my room. Like, I'll sit here on my desk and watch Pretty Little Liars, or like, I only say that because if you've been watching my vlogs, I've been rewatching the whole series. But like, I'm always doing everything else in my room, and I don't really have that like space for writing, like a particular space, and so it's hard to kind of get into that mood. So I guess going somewhere quiet, at least for me, or just somewhere where you can focus and not have a bunch of distractions. Turn your phone off. I always, whenever I sit down to write, I always put my phone on night mode so I don't get notifications, and then I put it behind my computer so I can't see it. I only pick it up whenever I am like on a break. And then tips on romance/young adult writing. I actually don't write that much romance. I have tried it, but nothing has ever like stuck. It's never been like, I've never gotten very far with it. So I would just say inclusivity, because romance is not just boy girl. Young adult writing, I do like to write young adult. I haven't gotten super far in a project, but I have started a lot of young adult contemporaries. So I just think like being relatable and trying to, because I feel like with young adult you can really, it's like coming of age. I live for coming of age stories. I love coming of age. And so you can really, there are so many themes you can explore, and so I just say like get crazy with it. Like try everything. You can talk about so much. Think back to your own like teenage years, think about what you were feeling and like what you were dealing with, and just write it. I love it. Any tips to balance school and writing? Also any advice about starting an authortube channel? Authortube, just go for it. Just do it, be yourself, and make the videos that you want to create, and try to just focus on like making sure you're enjoying it. And then balancing school and writing, that can be hard. I have recently graduated from college, and so I am no longer a student, but I feel that it can be very hard. I say just make sure you balance between like schoolwork and writing, and for being in school and at that time of your life, you do have to put your schoolwork before your writing. So I would say make school your priority, but do write as much as you can on the side. Do you have any other projects you have ever worked on besides Project Orion that you don't work on anymore? Tons! I have so many. I've started so many stories and not finished them that it would be too much to list, but yes, I've got plenty. Do you want to make writing your career? Yes, 100% yes. That is the ultimate dream, ultimate goal of mine, is to become an author and be able to support myself with that. How do you choose in which tense your book will be written in, past or present? Honestly, it kind of just depends on what I'm feeling. I usually write in past tense, but there was one story that I wrote somewhat recently, about a year ago, that is in present, and it's like the first one I've ever written in present, and it kind of fit it, and so I just stuck with it. But I usually do past. There's no like set guidelines that I use whenever I pick that. I just, whatever I'm comfortable with, whatever I'm feeling. Would you be interested in co-writing a novel? I think I would be interested in that. Definitely not now or like anytime soon, but maybe down the line. I think that'd be kind of a fun thing to do, so yeah, I'd be interested. How do you approach writing the first chapter? Do you find it difficult or easy? I find it so easy. I don't know what it is. The first chapter, like starting a story, is always the easiest part for me for writing a book. My first chapter, I feel like, or not even first chapter, first like page is always like the best. Even in a first draft, I feel like it's seriously the best, and I don't know why, but I find it really easy. How do I approach it? I just kind of do it. Honestly, with the first like, I don't want to say first chapter, but like for the first like page or first few paragraphs, I guess I'm a pantser. I'm a huge plotter every other time. I love to plan everything, but with the first chapter, I just go for it. I usually write the first chapter whenever I get the idea, and then I'll just start writing it, and then after that I'll go back and start planning everything. I always like to start like in the middle of things, and I know that's a popular way to start a chapter, but it always works for me. I don't know why. What are your top 3 go-to things to get inspired? I'm gonna say a snack because I always have I always have snacks whenever I write. Oh wait, do you mean to get inspired, or like, oh, I'm thinking of like when you sit down to write. Get inspired. Music. I think music is a good way to get new ideas and get inspired. Books, movies. I have already said, yeah, I've said the, I don't know why. Those things always help me get inspired. Like just taking in new things, and like I love, I guess, seeing other people's work and how they use different tropes and stories and go with that and make it different. How do you develop / create / get to know your characters? I always try to get pretty detailed with my characters. I usually have a general kind of feeling of who they are and what their personality is, and then I like to go in and like make like a sheet of like all of their like stats, you know what I mean? Obviously I don't think you'll use every single piece of information that you write, but it is a good way to get to know them and like kind of bring things up in the background sometimes. If you wrote like, you could randomly write down their religion or something, and it's not important to the story at all, but you could just randomly mention it, and I think it is a good way to add depth to a character. How do you plan / plot your scenes? I'm trying to keep getting stuck on that. So I use a scene outline. I have talked about this before, and I've made a video about it, and I will link it. But I split my book up into individual scenes. And I know you're asking about how to plan them and plot them, like what goes in the scene. And so I try to do it as like there's like who, what, when, how, why sort of situation. I always write out the characters involved, like what needs to happen in the scene to further the story. How does the previous scene affect it? How will this scene affect the next one? Everything's interconnected. And even though a scene is like its own story, they are all connected, trying to move along like an entire story. So I just make sure it's not pointless. Like I make sure there's something happening to further the story, and there's a why involved, there's a when and a how and all those things. There's like an action and a reaction. Best advice on being stuck. If you're feeling stuck in a story, I'll just try to keep writing, see if that helps. If that doesn't help, which usually it doesn't, I will either move on to a new story or just take a break from writing. I always like brain dumps, like just brain dumping everything onto a page. That always helps to get some ideas flowing. What is your biggest inspiration? Who is your favorite writer? And what is your favorite book series? Book series, Golden Compass, or like the His Dark Materials series, super great. Favorite writer, Philip Pullman. I really like Margaret Atwood, she's really great. Biggest inspiration, I don't think I necessarily have like a writing inspiration. I just kind of take from everyone. I can't think of one set person or thing that inspires me the most. Any genre of books that you never gravitate towards / any genre you never see yourself writing. So I feel like I'm pretty open to like exploring new genres. I feel like I'm probably not going to write like historical fiction. I don't really read them, I don't write them, I just am not really interested. I love history, but I don't really read historical fiction all that much. Actually, I think I used to in like elementary school. They had these like stories about like young girls from like different eras or something. I don't remember what those were. Other than that, I don't think there's any that I never see myself writing. And I think I've like tried to at least write a lot of different genres like that I don't talk about, you know what I mean? I'm recently trying to get into like, I want to start writing like a thriller, like a crime sort of thing. Other than like even, you know what? I might write historical fiction, who knows? Do you write with the end goal of publishing in mind, or do you just write because you want to write the book? So with Project Orion, which is my current novel, I am writing with the goal of publishing because I feel very strongly about it and I would love to get it published. But my whole life really, I have just written because it's fun, and I would love to be published, and that is kind of the ultimate goal. But when I'm writing each individual story, I'm not thinking about like, how am I going to publish this story? I'm just writing the story because it's fun. Is there any genre that you've never written in but wish to someday? So I kind of just talked about this. The like crime thriller sort of murder mystery thing I've really been enjoying lately, and I haven't even read any. I've just been thinking about it and wanting to. So I definitely would like to write one of those soon. And also recently I had an idea for an adult romance. So getting a little spicy. Also, I know this isn't a genre, but I'm gonna say it is fan fiction. I love fan fiction and I read a lot of fan fiction, but I've never written fan fiction. Well, okay, I've written fan fiction when I was like 12 and it was just on paper for my own little brain. But I think it'd be cool to like write fan fiction and like do something with it, maybe? I don't know. But don't discount fan fiction. I hate when people like say like, oh, fanfic's not like real writing, but like it is. There are some huge, first of all, huge stories out there, but also like just really good, like really well written stories that like make me cry and like they're good. So I'm gonna count that as a genre and say fanfiction. Comment down below your favorite fanfics because your girl wants some. I'm pretty open to any fandoms, but yeah, you know, I have a particular affinity for Star Wars and Stardew Valley. Also bubbling, there are no good bubbling fanfics out there, so if you have any, let me know, please. Are you an underwriter or an overwriter? Honestly, I don't know. I would say I'm an underwriter, I suppose, especially like for the first draft, just because I do want to make it longer, but at the same time, I do think mine are a lot longer than a lot of other people's first drafts. So like Project Orion, the first draft of Project Orion was like 75,000 words, which is like basically almost the size of like a regular full-length novel. And so I still have to add more to it, so in that sense I would say underwriter, but I feel like compared to a lot of other people's first drafts, which are maybe like 50,000 words, I think I'm a lot more of an overwriter, so maybe just in the middle. I know you don't listen to music when studying or writing, but do you listen to music at other times? Yes, I do. Of course I do. I think everyone kind of listens to music all the time. I don't really have much of a music taste, but I just kind of listen to everything, like all sorts of music. I don't have one single genre of music that I like. I don't like, I want to say I don't like country, but I do like older country and like folksy country. I don't like this new like pop country. I don't like that. But I'm pretty open. I really like classic rock and some indie stuff. I like alternative rock, classic rock, K-pop. Seriously, my music taste is all over the place. So those are all the questions that I have on YouTube. This video is like almost 40 minutes long, so this is gonna be great to edit. But I think I got to everyone's questions. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I love you all so very much, and I hope you're having a great day, and I'm always here for you no matter what you're going through. And yeah, I'll see y'all in my next video.